Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And welcome. Welcome to the infinite way where spirituality meets humanity. And it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you Paul Quinton. He grew up in a spiritual psychic family and he's been involved in esoteric all his life, allowing to fulfill his soul's contract as a healer, a teacher, a channel, and a writer. He has patented a new modality insured in 35 countries. He's releasing his channeled books through Spirit's voice to assist humanity in shifting into a new Earth's golden age as the renaissance of consciousness establishes itself. He assists souls to assist themselves, transforming human condition. He has been trained in numerous healing modalities and has assisted in bringing through the alignment modality, which he has copyrighted. So, however, his greatest teacher has been by Spirit. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce to you Paul Quinton. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Enola. Lovely to be on. It's great to be on. Thank you. We've
It's
just
so
got some
lovely.
sun out today, so I'm quite happy to be doing the talk today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you bring such a plethora of experiences to the table. And I'm so excited to see you. And you're hailing from, because people need to know where you are.
Yes, I'm in the UK, just outside London. I moved out of London probably during COVID, actually, to get some country air. So I now have a garden, which is lovely, surrounded by
Yeah.
nature, which really settled. It's been great because it's allowed me just to sort of ground more, getting more into my work without all the hustle and bustle of the city. So it's yeah, I'm in a nice place now in Surrey. So yeah, it's really lovely. Yeah.
It's lovely to know that one of the things that you mentioned in your introduction is that you came from a psychic family. And to be able to cultivate your gift within a family that is accepting, that has cultivated their gifts, what was that experience like? What was it like growing up in a family that accepted what you brought forward when you introduced it and then supported you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I just sort of backtrack. So when I was very young, obviously, growing up in the family of psychics and healers, we would see spirit. There was spirit in their house. We would do seances every Tuesday. One of my family friends would come over, and she would sit with us, and we would do seances. And we really helped stuck souls. It was really bringing souls from the astral plane, some that had been passed over, some that had been murdered, some that were lost. And there was a lot of the sort of rescue work, as we call it in our field. Um, and so that was my sort of introduction as a physical practice. But obviously, I would see them, I'd smell them. I remember smelling when people are about to pass. There's the strong smell of death, as we call it. And I used to sometimes smell that. I remember my grandmother passed, and then she would come to me in visions when I was meditating as a little boy, and so I used to have this sort of ancestral energy very connected with me as well, consciously, and so you know, brought up a lot of understanding that. And I think that those early imprints and those experiences really made me understand that that non-physical is the reality. It's where we come from, and we're living in the illusion. And also, but more importantly, it was that the beauty of having that support outside of the hustle and bustle of physical reality, and knowing that sort of spirit always there, sort of guiding, protecting in some ways. And so, I mean, don't get me wrong, I brought up a lot of fear as well, because especially when you're sleeping at night as a young boy and you're aware of spirit, it can. So that was quite interesting. And then I became a normal teenager. Always had that in the back. Always used to connect with spirit when I had issues. That's my go-to. I wouldn't talk to a human being. I'd talk to them first. So it's quite natural. And then it was, and then yeah, and then I went in the military. I was traveling. I did some office work for a while in Sydney, in Australia, because I moved out to Australia. I lived there 15 years. But grew up in England. I'm English. And then in my sort of early 20s, I started really coming back into this work. Um, Started to do some practices as well, even while I was in the military. And then when I got out, I sort of trained in, I went to like a holistic university for, well, it's a college, not a university. And I trained in numerous modalities, including physical. I did some massage, I did some cranial sacral therapy. And that's when I started to do Reiki, and I went into theta healing, Seishun, Reshiba, all of these different sort of modalities. And that sort of gave me a sort of an introduction back into doing this job, as a professional, not just having it as a family connection. And so that took me into all different places and avenues. And I worked on the cruise ships. I used to manage the spas. So I was traveling. So I used to do talks on energy and Reiki and all different kinds of things. And then I came back to England, and I really got into the channeling process probably about 8 years ago, full time. And I've been had my healing practice going on. I was self-employed for a long time. And then Spirit just said, right, it's time to start bringing more work through now. Something's more authentic from you, because I've been putting out this call for a long time, even since my 20s, that I want something that I can bring through. That's my frequency. Because, when channelers come together with non-physical realities, if there's doubt within the channeler and you compare yourself to other channelers, you cannot have an emerging of consciousness. So it was really, I had to go through a certain level of letting my ego go, working on my shadow self. And I had to sit for 6 months every night to clear everything and make sure I was become a clear conduit. Because there's a lot of, if you're not a clear conduit of channeling, you can pick up entities, you can pick up other astral plane, other dimensional beings, and you can get misinformation, which is quite common, unfortunately, in our field. So there was a real genuine approach to this. And the Viridian consciousness that I work with, they're a frequency that helps evolving planets. So, they've been doing this for, God knows, millions of years. And so it was something that was given to me as a gift in many ways. And they wanted me to be their Earth channel. Now, after that initial connection, they also said, look, you are part of our soul body. So whenever souls are created, the fusion of the divine feminine, divine masculine, depending on what's going on at that time, if they're in conflict, because everyone thinks consciousness is perfect, but it's not. So if they're in conflict, and I'll get into this a bit later because I want to talk, because these spirits have actually been coming back into my house in the last year. Actually, I'll come back into that about the merging of consciousness. But anyway, so when you're created, you will go out into the multiverse and you will attach to certain frequencies to have experiences, and that's how we grow. It's pretty much like being on Earth. You go out, you explore, you try different jobs, different things. And so I merged with this Viridian consciousness. And so I've been instrumental and working with them, obviously, through many, many lifetimes. And because the veil is so thick when we move into a third dimensional body, especially on Earth, we forget all that, and we get glimpses and things. But again, that's the excitement. That's the beauty about being on Earth, is having that excitement of exploration, not knowing what's around the corner. And so they brought this body of work through for me. I was also working with this other lady in Australia, and we were sort of merging, and her consciousness and my consciousness and those beings that she works with were in union, because whenever you've got depending on when there's an intention in the universe, as you know, that intention will merge spiritual frequencies together. And so there's a lot of merging going on at the moment for Earth, because obviously the planet is shifting, it's moving back into its golden age. And so there's a lot of beings that come in here to assist. And so I was working with her, we're doing our own thing now. And she had a body of work, I had a body of work, and it's really, they put it into like a plan where you have to do it over 4 modules, and it's structured in a way where you start to release parts of your consciousness in alignment, where you're not opening up too fast so you don't understand it or becomes debilitating or too scary. And we work through a lot of the ego conscious, the shadow conscious, then we start to merge with a non-physical, and they've given it this way to teach it. So funny enough, about 8 years ago, I let go of all of my modalities that I've been learned, and just follow this simple procedure. And so that's been my journey, really. And well, as I said to you before we spoke, I'm just waiting for a publisher now. The alignment modality is my teaching platform, which we spoke about at the beginning. So I'm teaching that. And I'm really just putting different pockets of work together, doing podcasts, just getting the voice out there as well. I've just put some e-learning workshops together so people can just automatically download, which is another way of doing it. So I'm really in that sort of creative stage at the moment. And like yourself, this window of energy at the moment is quite intense. And a lot of things are starting to fall into place as well. So it's really, in some ways, we're on the infancy of the new earth now, and it's going to be very exciting these next
It
10,
is.
15 years. I'm looking forward to it.
It's very exciting to be merging out of Kali Yuga and then going to the Golden Age. And for those of you who are not familiar with that terminology, go to your astrologer and understand your astronomy and the rhythms of the earth, okay? But I want to go back. I want to go back because you said a lot, and there's a lot of things that we kind of gloss over that people don't get. And
Yeah,
that first walk of the realm as a child, that first time that you experience timelessness, that space in between. I love to call it, it's when I look on the medicine wheel, I just try to make this practical for people who are listening. And on the medicine wheel, if we're going to the horizontal, right, that's more the physical, everything that you hear, you taste, touch, smell, etc. But then you enter into the heart, the center, and then you're in your vertical, which is really your connection with spirit, okay? And really truly understanding that you are connected with spirit. But the walk is different. The universe is different internally. And some people, I won't say many people, haven't tapped into that. So that first walk that you did as you're in a psychic family, in that first walk, because it brings forward everything. That's where you're experiencing understanding that the beings that are there, that are encircling us, teaching us, working with us, supporting with us, and everything are present.
mm,
So that first time that you did that, what was it like when it's like, okay, my family's psychic, everyone sees everything except me, and then boom, you finally have that moment, that experience where it's like, I got it, I get it now. What
yeah,
was that like?
yeah. It was funny enough. It was just so natural. It wasn't
Okay.
any like it was exciting. So obviously excitement, and there was fear as well. Obviously, like I said before, because when
Yeah.
you're, you know, and obviously, so it from I don't remember everything obviously, but I remember it being very exciting. I remember it being a little bit scary in times, but it was also, it sort of made me feel safe. It sort of
Mm.
it made me come out of, didn't matter what was going on at school, issues with anyone. I always had that was my safe space. And so I just felt comfortable, and it was just, and again, it felt natural. It was just a sort of, yeah, it was good, and it was exciting as also because I had something my friends didn't have, or I did, and I didn't think of it like that, but it was also something that I didn't have to tell anyone. It was for me, and it was just something that I could really enjoy, and I just thought it was kind of a gift, and it was quite a special, because especially when you're helping stuck souls, and you realize actually what happens when we pass over, because we don't talk about it on the planet. It's all
Mhm.
hush hush, and shut down by the church, shut down by whoever, or just fear.
Right.
And so it was just like, yeah, wow, okay, that's great, there's something outside of what's going on as well. There's something more to just what we see in front of us. So
Yeah, and then I'm going to take us on the journey of what you explained to us, because I really want the audience to understand and just break it down. So we all experience doing different modalities, and each one of the modalities brings us to a different place and level of experience and how we're tapping in inwardly, okay, and what dimension we're drawing from. And so you talked about doing the different modalities, which really just opens up the channel and takes you a different level here, a different level there, because Reiki is not the same as cranial sacral, it's not the same as et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
exactly.
All right. So here we are, or here you are, tapping into the different areas of it. And then what was it that brought you to the precipice of like, okay, this is everybody else's stuff, I want my own?
Yeah. Well, apparently I put out a call in my 20s subconsciously. I didn't know that. That's what they told me. That I wanted to put something new. I wanted a reunion with spirit and bring something new. funny enough, I always thought that was always going to happen. So when they said that to me, it's like, yeah, because also you understand that there is only the present moment as well. And I think that we're trying to say that you can shapeshift different things in different times. Um, so it was that time when I've been, I knew deep down when I was doing all these modalities, and excuse me for saying this, that yes, they worked, but also they didn't work. And there was something in me was saying, yeah, I'm doing it, but yeah, not feeling it 100%. And it was true. And when they told me that no one can take away your pain but yourself, I was like, there you go. Boom, got it. Because if you don't understand emotional energy or trauma through a universal law, you can't transmute it. And no one can take away your pain because you're the one that's created it. So you have to honor it. You have to honor your shadow. So a healer, and now what I understand a real healer is about, is their ability to hold space, their psychic intuition, because they can go, right, well, I'm seeing this parallel lifetime right now where you're being abused, and that's why this happened to you when you were 17, and you bridge it. And as soon as they hear it, it unlocks their subconscious. So you are holding space, you're guiding. But don't get me wrong, hands-on healing is fantastic because I have done Reiki, cranial sacral therapy.
Yes.
I do all the time on my clients so that you can heal. But I'm talking, this is more on a sort of a physical level, maybe this life on a more superficial level. But if you're going to get into the foundational patterns of why people are abused, why they're abandoned, why they're betrayed, you have to go into the interdimensional root cause, because otherwise, you know, as Spirit says, we're not really creating anything new in this life. We're here to let go of the other lifetimes. And so it takes on a whole different way of looking at healing. And they said to me, you know, as we go into this new age, a lot of the old modalities will become redundant because they were based on the old Earth model. Great for their time, opened up people, absolutely. But they said there's a lot of misinformation in the New Age movement, and they're really trying to simplify the message. And another thing they said is that human beings don't need another full set of rules and procedures to achieve enlightenment. They
Yes.
just need it quickly, boom, and they just need the simple. And that's why I now advertise it as universal law, which brings in Einstein stuff. It brings in Dr. Emoto, Bruce Lipton, and if you combine those three, everything comes together. You actually, those three voices is all you need. And it's
I love it. I
comes
love it.
together.
I
And
love
don't get me
it.
wrong, I love all the tribal stuff and ancestral energy, and that works. I love all the American Indian stuff. I'm a great believer of that. I have American Indian actually used to come through and speak through my mother. His name was Running Feather. And he taught me so much stuff. I used to ask him about planets, aliens, all kinds of stuff. But she used to speak, she used to channel with his voice. So he'd step in and she'd speak with a man's voice. But my
Uh,
channeling's not like that now. The channeling's evolved again as well, which is good. It just sort of comes through.
but this is important. This is really important pieces because we all have teachers. We have teachers that we call to us because
Yeah,
where the direction that we're hearing, the direction that we're heading, and where we're exploring,
yeah,
and then what our sole purpose is. Because to me, I've always shared with people that your sole purpose at a minimum is to hold the light on the planet,
yes,
to hold the light, to
yeah,
be in your I am presence and be the light that you are, not the nasty person that you are, not the vindictive person that you are, not the retribution that you want to seek, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but to hold the light, just to be the kind, decent person of love and light that you are at a minimum.
yeah,
Okay, so everyone has a purpose. People running around going, "What's my purpose? What's my purpose?" Be a kind, decent person that holds the light in the world, and then anything above and beyond that is the gift, is the
yeah.
extra.
It's the
Okay, but
extra.
we all have
Yeah,
a base,
yeah,
right? So as you're talking about this, and as you're looking at the different areas, what you're doing is really fine tuning what it is that your soul purpose is supposed to be doing. So I'm assuming that during this journey is when you brought in your first methodology. Is that a correct assumption?
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And don't get, I draw on all my other what I've learned as well.
Right.
But again, it's just like stripping it back and just making it simple. And don't get me wrong, I've had so many readings from different psychics, spirit come through. They say simplify, because I've got a lot of information and I sometimes speak so fast. And like you said, you said it too. I've got to break it down so people understand, because for me, it's just
Exactly.
normal. It's just like
Me too.
and so it takes a while to simplify that and bring it down. And that's why it's like I said, you use the law narrative, because everyone can understand that. Everyone understands imagination. Imagination is our most powerful tool. When you put image into action, and there's no doubt about that image, it has to manifest on the universal law.
Right.
And so, and it helps men, because men don't trust. They don't trust feelings or intuition. And it's very interesting. And Spirit just said you've got to prove imagination to be a science, and then they'll understand it. And don't get me wrong, a lot of women as well. But women,
Mhm.
most of my clients are women anyway, because they understand the emotions. They can get into it, and they also, there's an aspect of them that wants to let go, where men have been carrying this sort of male dominant cycle for a long time. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on at the moment, and also just getting the male and female energies into alignment, because the feminine is rebirthing itself. And that is bringing and changing a lot of how we think and do things, especially healing. And it's bringing this sort of platform of where, unless you drop into your vulnerability and sensitivity, it's going to be very, very hard to resonate in the new earth, because it comes down to the atom, because the atom is shifting itself. The Viridians that I work with, they're doing a lot of work on the atom at the moment. That's a lot of their frequency. They're actually removing a lot of dysfunctional frequency that we carry through all the earth trauma. So look, I could talk. I'm getting off track again. So
No, this is wonderful. This is wonderful
you
because
need to
people need
bring me
to
back to that.
understand that as we tap into it, your soul purpose is really going to come to fruition. And I would venture to say that there are many roads to the one.
Yeah. All
Okay,
roads lead
there
to
are
Rome. I
many,
always
many
say
roads
that.
to the one. Exactly. So it doesn't matter that this is the road that you took to get to the one. It doesn't
No.
negate the other ones. It just makes it different. Okay, and that's the road that you took. And
Yeah.
so that's what's so beautiful about it. Because for me, the indigenous way was the road that I took to get to the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the beautiful thing. So take us through the Viridian acknowledgement, and take us through the alignment piece and
Yeah.
what it means for you.
Yeah, I will. I just want to backtrack, because you made a very good point, and I should say this is about people and purpose. So people listen to
Mm.
these interviews, and 9 times out of 10, because I spoke to hundreds of people, thousands actually over the years, and it was, well, I don't get it. I don't know my purpose. Well, you've got that skill, but how am I going to get it? Right now, if you want to help the planet, go into self-inquiry. Because when you go into self-inquiry, what happens is you start to align and you start to draw down more divine current, which is frequency. When that frequency lands in your cells, it starts to expand. It creates oscillation. So unilateral holds of I don't know, I can't, I'm angry, start to come into swing, and you start to intuit, okay, hang on, I can start to work on this. The more you're doing the work on yourself, you are holding light in your cells. So when you go to the restaurant, you go to work, you walk down the street, the person walking past you, if their consciousness is ready to pick up what you've already downloaded or what you've awoken in yourself, cells talk to cells before we physically speak. So they're passing information. So then that light goes into that person. Then they will start to go, hang on, do you know what? I need to go and do a meditation course. Yeah, that's right. And then they start to awaken themselves. That's how you spread the light on the planet. It's actually through the cellular network. So it comes back to what you were saying. So everyone, doesn't matter if you're the gardener, the supermarket person, the lawyer, if you work on yourself, you are assisting the planet. Because everyone goes, well, how can I help? Well, that's how you help.
That's how
Everyone
you.
on the planet has the power to shift the planet right now. And that's the beauty of it.
Bravo.
So, just I have to say that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because it's true, because so many people come to, I don't know my purpose, I'm stuck. Just work on yourself, and then you will assist everyone. And it's true. And Spirit actually said to me about 5 years ago, so I was a bit stuck with some shadow energy. They came to me for a channeling, said, oi, get on with it, because you're holding a lot of people back. because it's true, because you have to emanate what you are teaching. You have to be authentic of your truth, and also
Yes,
your cells have to be emanating the right frequency. And this is where a lot of healers can only take their clients halfway because they haven't worked on their shadow self. And I
Exactly.
do it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where we're in that
Very
area.
important.
Yeah,
Extremely important. Do
yeah.
the work. Do the
Do
work.
the
That
work.
means confront and look in the mirror and love what you see. For
Yeah,
those people who don't understand what do the work means, that means be the observer of self, understand how you process information, understand how you interact in relationships, understand how you move through this world, how you navigate through this world. Is it in a positive way? What are the power of your words? We can go there, but I want to hear about your work.
yeah. We'll get into your work next week. Okay, so the Viridian mission, let's simplify this. Okay, so the first thing that they told me to channel was water. So they instrumental in bringing through the water. Okay, they're 10th dimensional beings. So we as human beings work within 9 rounds of reality. We work within the 9 chakra system. So everyone knows the traditional 7. However, we have one above, which is the soul, and one below, which is the earth. That's actually the anchor for the auric field. We can't exist in 7. We exist in 9. So up to the 9th dimension, or density, sorry, not dimension, density, we are still existing in duality. When you reach the 10, you don't show, you can show androgyny in various forms, but you don't have to, you become one again. So
Okay.
this is where they sit. Okay, they've actually put a hologram around their planet of our Earth's nature. It allows them to read the frequency of the planet, and also allows them to move on to the planet through that portal system. Okay, they are creating etheric photon waves. So what they're doing is basically they're realigning or resequencing the molecule and atom base, because there's a dysfunctional coding that's sitting around the auric field of human beings, which is why we can't get out of these negative cycles all the time. Now, this is also to do with the atom. It's also to do with Earth's trauma as well, because there's been so much war on this planet in various forms that we still carry that trauma. And so beings don't feel safe here as well. So there's a lot of that stuff that's being removed. And this, in your tribal work, you would understand this a lot as well. I'm sure you, yeah.
Yes.
So basically what they're doing is they're sending this frequency through photonic waves till it establishes itself. Okay. So basically they're opening up the mind complex, re-energizing the meridian system. Now the meridian system is the blueprint of the physical body. So everything
Yes.
gets, yeah, you know, the meridian system. Okay. Everything forms from that. So when a soul decides, right, I'm going to incarnate into Africa, it will pick up the energy of Africa or the country, and the meridian system frequency will be for that country, Uganda, for example. Then you will take on the energy of Uganda. It will wire in. Then everything that you haven't processed in other lifetimes gets wired into the hypothalamus, then the heart chakra, and then that moves through all the organs. So the meridian system is your connection to the non-physical. It's the psychic phone line, shall we say.
Right.
When you get the chills on the skin, that's the meridian system lighting up. So,
Mm-hmm.
so they are basically energizing that. So consciousness, when it moves into the body, because frequency comes in, it transforms into electrical charge. So you need water to move it through the body. Now, what's happening, because people's emotional bodies are blocked, that's coming in and it's blowing out the chakras, the nervous system. It causes edema, headaches, heart attacks, all kinds of stuff. So basically, what they're doing is they're trying to get and they're putting a frequency, or they call it like a coding, but they're putting it in the sacral chakra to align the feminine energy in human beings, because people are rejecting the feminine frequency. Even if you're a female, you're rejecting it on some level. So they're trying to bring all of that in. And like I said, the atom is something that they have to work on, because if you don't have a healthy foundation, you cannot transform yourself. So they're really doing the work under the earth as well at the moment on the atom molecule base. And also they've given me a lot of stuff. There's actually, well, I teach this in module 2. We actually remove it. It's called the shadow components. And there's a frequency around our reptilian brain. It's about 20 hertz. That was placed there a long, long time ago, shall we say, by the shadow. And basically what it does is it causes you to question everything. It causes the ego into a divide, causes you to capitulate unconsciously. So it stops stellar consciousness from awakening in you. This is why we always debunk ETs, why we debunk the non-physical. And it's really there to sort of stop us from awakening. And it sort of leads to fear and survival response, and actually has the energy of Mars, because if you look at Mars, and even NASA have shown pictures where there's been war on Mars, because there's loads of structures that have been exploded and whatnot. But
Mhm.
basically, we are carrying that despair and loneliness that was left on the Mars energy, and we carry that in our subconscious. And this is all connected to the reptilian part of our brain.
Okay.
So, and it leads to, like I said, it's always seeking dominance and control. This is why we're always questioning ourselves. So there's a lot of things, and we all know from astrology that we're connected to all planets. So we
Right.
pick up on those frequencies. So that's positive and shadow. Yeah. So they're really about removing and transforming frequency and creating a stable foundation so human beings can actually move into this new earth easily, as easily as possible. Because a lot of people, this is why the death rate is tripling at the moment, because people are denying their soul body. Every soul on the planet is coming to the human extension right now, and they're saying, look, you need to go into self-inquiry. You need to awaken to the truth. You can't keep this ego conscious anymore, this self-serving. You have to come back. It's to a collective. We are moving back into a collective consciousness. And so if you resist that physically, like I said before, the atom is moving, it's going to change the vibration. You cannot exist in the same space on a physical level because it just
Mhm.
won't work. But it's more about the energy, and so they're really about establishing that frequency and bringing that alignment, where people can start to feel safe in their bodies and trust. Because without trust, this is why we're constantly battling ourselves. So we do a lot of work on the ego conscious, a lot of work on the brain. They've actually given me an activation to align the two brain hemispheres, so that when
Mm.
they're aligned, you create a magnet and it draws down divine current uninterrupted. Now, funny enough, when they did Einstein's autopsy, he had one brain hemisphere, didn't have
Wow.
two. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And they said to me, in the next few hundred years, our brain will actually come back to one again. Yeah,
Okay.
we don't need to be in divide. The only reason we've got two hemispheres is the divide, but we're not living in duality anymore. We're moving back in. There will be a form of duality, obviously, but it's, you're conscious of it. Yeah. So it's quite very
That's
interesting.
amazing. And we know that, in evolution, we grow, we change, we move, the evolution of the earth, the evolution of people. So wow, that's phenomenal. And I've never heard it explained so eloquently. So thank you. Thank you. That was huge. I'm still digesting. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so now I really want to know about your work. I really, really want to know about the alignment in the meridians, because it's like, as a foundation, we understand the concepts of what you just discussed. We understand how we feel in the end, but we can't explain, what's taking place actually in the middle. So that's phenomenal. So share with us a little bit more about your work and exactly how it's going to impact and move people forward.
Yeah. So my obviously my work is, well, the modality that the alignment modality is a 4 part. Well, I'm actually, it's 5 parts, but I haven't written the 5th part yet. That's more for practitioner level. I'm going to
Okay,
get into that later. But they basically said to put it into 4 parts, because there's 4 parts of the human being. You've got your physical, emotional, mental, and soul body that we sort of
exactly.
operate in.
Yes.
Excuse me. And the first part is really about activations, a little bit like you would do a Reiki activation, but completely different.
Right.
They've given me a whole new set of symbols to work with, very, very powerful. And so I introduce symbols to people, a little bit again like some of the mainstream stuff. But there's activations. We start to clear the emotion, the conscious mind and the mental body. This is about the first part. There's a lot of esoteric teaching. We give you the foundation. We start to introduce you to universal law, how to
Hmm.
transform emotion in the moment without getting it debilitating.
Right.
Understand why you've created everything. So we talk about the magnetics of the planet. So if you're constantly being abused or abandoned, instead of blaming the other person or completely shutting down, if you're inquisitive and go, well, actually, hang on, why have I been abandoned 4 times now? Maybe it's me. And you go, okay, fine, inquisitive. Right. Inquisitiveness is what Einstein did. He said, without inquisitiveness, I would never understand why that universe is doing that to that universe, etc. And basically,
Legos.
yeah, yeah. So
Logic.
it's magnetic. You can't be abused or abandoned if you don't carry abuse or abandonment wound. So
Right.
when you realize that, hang on, I've got the power to transform this, it's so much more enriching. So we get people to reverse their thinking. Now, funny enough, Spirit said, and I always said this before, and then they sort of said it to me as well. I said, whatever they tell you on the planet, do the opposite, and you'll be fine. It's
I
the
agree with
cosmic
that
joke.
one. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and so, and when you understand that if you understand that you are getting people to realize that, because everyone's running to ascension, everyone's running to be this other person. I want to be connected to this planet, I'm connected. You don't need to ascend anywhere. You're multidimensional. You're living on
Yes.
every plane of consciousness. What we're not being is human. So what they want us to do is just be still. They want us to awaken our soul body while we're walking human in our human self
Yes.
consciously. So
Yes.
when you understand that all the power is already within you, and all you need to do is just surrender, it's so much easier than thinking, oh my God, I've got to go and do all these courses. I've got to go and do all that, striving, struggling, stressing. We use too much masculine energy to get things. The feminine sits still and just draws everything to her. And that's what we have to do. And that's the joke. The spiritual warrior doesn't move. He or she stands still and just magnetizes. And that's where
And
we get
so
people
that
to,
is exactly what you said. That is exactly opposite of what everybody's doing, because everybody's running around. Oh, I have to know this modality. Oh, I have to know this knowledge. Oh, I have to know this. The glass is always half empty, right? I'm not enough of this, and I'm not enough of that, and I'm not enough of this, and I'm not enough of that. But basically, what you're saying is, sit still. You're enough. Tap into the power. Look internally. Look internally to glean that connection, strengthen that connection, and then be able to execute based on that connection and
yeah.
stop all of this running around masculine energy, which is I have to do. So what you're really talking about, and I'm breaking this down for the audience too.
Please do, yes.
You have to master the power of gestation. And this is why women have like this power that they understand, because they have to gestate for 9 months. So that's the physical example of it.
Yeah,
But really, it's the gestation of ideas, the gestation of understanding, the gestation of connection, the gestation of being able to surrender, and sit with it, sit with that surrendering.
yeah,
And you're basically saying, when we do this, it will come. You've unlocked. That's the key. The key isn't to do,
no,
but the key is to sit still.
yeah,
Correct?
100%.
Am I with
100%.
you?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. And how much easier is that than having to run around?
So much easier. So much easier. So,
Again,
what?
it's being made simpler, simplifying everything.
Right. And so with this, would you channel a little bit for us? Would you share with us a little bit? And I don't care if you channel with me. I'm not afraid to be personal, whatever. Or if you want to do for the planet, however you want to do it. Would you work with us?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I would have done a channel message before, but yeah, let me go into space. All right. Okay. I'm going to bring through, well, I'm going to see who comes through, but I might bring through the Algorians. Now, the Algorians, just let me explain before, the Viridians are more of the mental, they bring through the mental energy. The Algorians came to me 2 years afterwards. Now, they are from the star of Algor, which we know in a constellation. And they are the pure, raw, feminine energy. So they support the feminine, raw, feminine energy. Okay.
Okay.
They're awakening it in physical human beings or female human beings at the moment, because human beings or females have been suppressing their rage for so long because of the dominant masculine cycle. So they're actually awakening that. And I've known quite a few women over the last couple of years that got very, very angry and just like a torrent of release. And they're triggering that to awaken the feminine on the planet, to let go of that masculine control and all the rest of it. Not done in a duality way, but to embrace what they've gone through,
Right.
but to help release it so they're not going to get sick and cause illness.
Right. A lot of angry women understand that.
Exactly. I know, and that's a whole other. We could do a whole talk on
That's
that.
a whole nother show.
Maybe that's our next one. Okay. So yeah, so the allegories are representative of that feminine, and they came to me to help me release and move into my feminine side as well. So I'm so yeah. So let's see. I think they'll come through. So they're saying we are assisting the light to move through Earth's consciousness. There are awakening an energy in the Andes in South America at this moment. And it's going to move through the ley lines of the South Pacific, up through Australia, through Japan, over Russia, and finally into Europe and America. And this is the cycle that they're moving. And it's moving through the physical waters, but also through the ley lines. This is creating a vortex to awaken the pineal gland and the hypothalamus, because the two are not in communication. The two have been resisting each other because one is the psychic connection and one is the physical house of the soul. And the soul is traumatized for all of its lifetimes. So in actual fact, what's happening now is human beings are trying to establish themselves without understanding who they are or what they are. And they are listening to too much stimuli on their televisions and social network. What they're not doing is evolving themselves from within. And this is your conversation. So we are here to plant a new frequency on the planet that helps them to remember their sacred union that they have with the Earth Mother. Now, the Earth Mother has to be dropped into. She has to be embraced and she has to be loved again. She is letting go. She is saying, I've had enough. I am moving from my adolescence into the light frequency. And this is how it's working. You are guests on her planet. You have to realign this frequency in your understanding. Now, all you need to do is draw the figure 8, which is the infinity sign over your brain, connect the pineal gland with the hypothalamus, and invoke the pure divine feminine frequency. If you can sit with this for 5 to 10 minutes a day, it will start to activate and create oscillation between these 2 points. This will start to awaken the meridian system. You will start to understand, and you will also remember that you have all had lives in the water. Now, the water lives are your ancient civilizations, such as Lemuria, that you are all aware of. You used to swim in the water. You were fish in many ways. Understanding this consciousness helps you to re-establish and awaken. So what's happening now is the southern hemisphere is expanding her sacral chakra. She is moving, or the sacral chakra energy of the planet is moving through the base of this planet. It's moving down, grounding through Antarctica. And what's happening is it's holding the space for the northern hemisphere. Now, the northern hemisphere, as you know, is always in conflict, and that is the mental energy of the planet. That mental energy is going to start to pull down through the physical, and it's going to actually come down through Africa and move through down into Antarctica. So there's a whole sort of cycle of energy that's moving now. We are establishing that. So human beings need to work on these 2 points, the hypothalamus and the pineal gland, to establish what we are talking about, but also to awaken their third dimensional reality to the non-physical. This is essential right now for all human beings. Now, even if you are a certain person that doesn't understand this, you can draw a figure 8. You can look atomically at those 2 points and you can understand that. So that's all we ask, is that you embrace this gift we give to you now, because it's going to awaken you and it's going to give you something more that you haven't had for a long time. And you have lost trust in yourselves. You have felt fear for too long. Now, fear is the illusion of this planet, and it's now time to embrace it. There is nothing to fear in fear but fear itself. So you have to let go of this belief system. And we are here to bring the gentleness, the vastness, the intuition of this feminine energy. And all you need to do is let yourself receive it. Okay, so just set that intention with your soul in the morning to receive that feminine frequency. And you need to sit for 5 minutes before you move into your day and just allow the expansion to move through your bodies. And you will start to align with what is unseen. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much. What a wonderful, wonderful channeling. And it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. And I have to express to you that that's not the first time I've heard about the figure eight in connection, but this was on a very personal note,
Yes.
not in the generic note.
Yeah.
So for me, it resonates quite, quite brightly.
Yeah.
And when did you meet them? When did you actually meet them?
Funny story. When we came home from holiday, and they done our front door, and I came home, I undid the door, it was unlocked. I'm like, what? And then they started moving things around the house, and then I did a channeling about 3 weeks later, and they said, oh well, this is the Algorians, they've come for you to connect with them. So actually it was, they actually started doing things in my house. That's how I first met them.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That is
But that's what they
so.
do. Every time I come back from holiday, they do something different. Or some of the beings, like we came back and they'd taken the picture off the wall. The time before, which was last year, we came in and the tap in the bathroom was full on, and they'd taken the mirror and placed it on the floor. It's like, and
What's
when I'm
going
not listening,
on?
when I'm not listening, they turn my electric toothbrush on, or they turn the shower on.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
it's like a constant bombardment. But it's
And
done
then
with so
being,
much love. It's done with so much
yeah,
love.
yeah. And then being at least with a family that understands what's taking place, somebody's going to get what took place.
Yeah. Exactly. So lucky my girlfriend's from Brazil. So Brazil, they're very much into the esoteric. They'll go
Yes,
to a psychic before they go to the doctor, which is good.
yes.
So she's had a few shocks in the house, but she's used to it now.
I love it. I love it.
It's really cool.
Wow, Paul, what an amazing time we had. I can't believe we're already up on an hour. So
Crazy, isn't it?
it's been amazing. And I want to reserve the right to bring you back and to have that second conversation if you would be willing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
thank you. Thank you
Fantastic.
for the explanation. What do you want to leave our audience with?
It's a good question. Like I said, come back, just go into self-inquiry. Your mind will debunk the process initially. It says, I can't do it, I'm too busy, I'm this, I'm that. But if you set the intention is the foundation of all outcomes. Set the intention to work on yourself. Your soul will align with that intention, and it will give you space to work. And I teach this as well, how to slow time down and speed it up, because time is perception. So you can actually create more space in your day without you even knowing it. So there is no excuse. You just need the intention and just work on yourself, and you will spread light on the planet. And it just starts with simply putting your hand up and going, do you know what? I'm sick and tired of being had enough. I've had enough. I'm ready for shift now. I just want change. And just be annoyed with the cycle that you've been stuck in, and use that frustration to go, right, let's do it. But you have to feel it. You have to get into it. So just take a few deep breaths each day. Just breathe, just relax, listen to a breathing technique, and just allow yourself. And when you're calm and still, set the intention, and you will see synchronicity unfold like that. It's amazing. There's no such thing as coincidence, only synchronicity. Nothing
Right.
happens without the soul organizing it. So trust me, it will take a little bit of trust at the beginning, but when you get with the first experience, you go, wow. And that's the rapport. And when the rapport's there, off you go.
Off you go. I love it. I love it. Thank you so, so much. How can people reach you, connect with you, get a session from you, learn about you more?
Yeah, best way. All my socials and my contact is on my website. So all the W's at www.alignmentmodality.com, and then all my
Okay.
contacts on there. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. I hope you got a lot out of this. I absolutely did. So if you like what you saw, share, share, share. Please subscribe to The Infinite Way. And somebody out there needs the information that was just shared. So please do share and like us. Okay. So now you have met absolutely an angel here, Paul Quinton. Thank you, Paul, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on, Enola. It's been wonderful.
It's
Wonderful. Thank
been
you so much.
absolutely
Lovely
wonderful.
energy. Lovely energy.
And this has been another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. And stay tuned for part 2. Thank you and take care for now. Bye bye.
Bye bye.